Well, that last video has aged horrendously. Taylor Hall, it's official, is off to the Buffalo Sabres at 1 year, $8 million per, with a full no movement clause. So let's break it down. How does this help the Buffalo Sabres, and how does this affect Taylor Hall? We'll start with the Hall side of things. Clearly, COVID was obviously hampering him when it came to deals that were long term. Obviously, people didn't want to be on the hook for a wicket against him. And a player that, had a bit of a down year last year after being MVP previously. So, understandable that teams probably didn't want to give him a 7-year deal. So he's found a way to get a 1-year deal, play with Eichel, score as much as he possibly can. Then when times are maybe a little bit more certain, just because, everything indicates to, by the time next off-season starts, say if everything goes to normal and it's July 1st next year, that's roughly when, at least in Australia, they're estimating that a widespread vaccine will be available. Whether that happens or not is another thing. But yeah, so that would allow for a little bit more with teams because they would know that fans would be going back to the arenas. He also has a no movement clause, but I think this is kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like, hey, the reason why there's a no movement clause is so you can't trade me to just whoever. But we'll probably waive it. I imagine that he would if this team doesn't get into the playoffs. So how does this affect the Buffalo Sabres? It's been a real weird 5 days for this team. I think they reached in the draft with who they got instead of getting Rossi, just because I thought Rossi was a better player. Even though Quinn can score, I just think Rossi's a better player. They've kind of signed some fringe players. They didn't qualify Dominic Cahoon for some reason. But then they overpaid for like Gergesons, and they brought in Eakin, and then they made a couple of smaller deals that I think the fan base wasn't too happy about, but like their 1 year $700,000 deals for like Irwin and Ryder, like it's not really going to affect things long term. You need to have warm bodies, you need to have depth. So I think the fan base was a little bit harsh on that. A lot of them were to the point of like, this is not the direction this team wanted to go. And then boom, they just pick up Taylor Hall, and it's like, oh my goodness, everything's fine now. How does this affect this team? Boy, howdy, is this going to be an interesting first and second line. Like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know how it's all going to go, but because obviously, like Skinner, Eichel, Hall, if they manage to, flip some of the wings around and be a whole line, that's a lot of players that want the puck. So yeah, I wonder if they spread that out and give send one to Stahl in the second line. But those are two pretty handy players. Like, that's a really good line to start off with. I think this will get Skinner going as well, which is really, really good for the team. But they still have huge flaws. The defense is still... Their goaltending is just like a giant question mark. Like, is Allmark... the 915 that he got last year in 30 odd games, or what is their goaltending? Is it good? Is it bad? Like, make up your mind. And then they sign this, and it just doesn't make sense. This contract does not make sense to me at all. Like, I don't get why he is going there. My idea is that he couldn't get a 1-year deal somewhere else, and that everywhere else was being 2 or 3 years at a little bit less money, and he was like, no, I'm going to do 1 at 8, and then cash in next year at free agency. And this way I get to have my cake and eat it too, because I can get traded at the deadline to a team that is competing, and he has a no movement clause. And he has a full no movement clause, so he can pretty much pick and choose where he goes. I'm surprised they didn't make it like you can submit 8 teams, but I don't think they want to limit it that much. I have a feeling it's very wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So for Buffalo Sabres, it's pretty much $8 million to maybe get a first-round pick at the draft or something on those lines. They'll be able to get some assets if they can trade him. Otherwise, who knows? This team might be able to do something for once. It's been so long since they've been competitive outside of like a good month in October or November where they go on a bit of a hot streak, and then it's a phone call from Earth and they need to come down to it. And so I am kind of excited for the franchise. Like, it's been really difficult for the Sabres fans, I feel, and that's why I picked them as my like sim GM for NHL 21. Is just they're a team that just has not been there for so long or had anything exciting happen in so long. So this is just a good moment. Yeah, it's going to be a cup of coffee. It's going to be a cup of coffee Sabre. He's not going to be there long term unless they can really get things going. But the state of the front office and the state of everything else, I think they're pretty much done now. This might change things. They might go out and try to get one of the defenders or another forward. Dadonoff's still out there. I don't think so. But yeah, I think this is more like, oh, we can do 1 year. It's a win-win for both parties. You know, we might be able to trade. We might be able to even get into the playoffs, maybe, possibly. I mean, Hall's done it before. Hall and a goaltender has got a team into the playoffs before, so without an Eichel, so that's something. But yeah, I'm just happy for Sabres fans, man. It's been so hard for them. It really has. I know, like, there's the whole rivalry with the Leafs and everything, and they're kind of almost like that second team that you can kind of hate outside of the Leafs a little bit, and maybe the Blackhawks as well, just because they always get outdoor games. But like, yeah, they're just, I don't know. You just want Eichel to just be happy. And yeah, at least they can point to Eichel now and be like, look, we did something, right? Like, we did something. I mean, it doesn't fix a lot of things, but we did something. You can't say we didn't. But yeah, so interesting. Very interesting. The one thing I'm worried about is that, like, Sabre fans are going to be like, oh, this is it now. This is it. We can get into the playoffs. And then next year when Hall's not there, and all these problems still exist. It's just like, oh, this team is still just Eichel, right? I forgot. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that is the whole video. If you did like this video, hit the like button. Otherwise, hit subscribe down below. We're on 255, so it would really help us out. You have no idea how much motivation it gives me just to see one go up in the morning when that alarm goes off in the morning, make a video before work. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. What do you think about Hall to the Sabres down below? I really do think it's just like I said, it's a win-win, because Hall can just go to free agency at the end and just ring the bell if he has a good season. And I really wish more players did this. More to chase a cup, not to do the opposite and go to Buffalo, but I wish more players did this, like they signed a 1-year deal and were just a gun for hire, and then, you know, maybe for a year or two and then signed a big deal. Oh boy, it's exciting. It's exciting. Anyway, one of the big fish is down, so we'll see if the rest of the dominoes fall with the rest of the wingers that are left. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See you, and bye.